told me I was giving up a house. Nobody warned me I was signing away my right to a bad day. I'm 91. You think you're prepared for the end of life. You're not. You think it's about losing your health or your things. It's about losing your name, your own name. In a place where everyone is safe and clean and utterly, completely lost. I was a history teacher. I knew dates. I knew the precise order of things. Now time is a pill at 7, a puree at 12:30, a blanket at 8. They call it a schedule. I call it a quiet erasure. My son, a good man, he sees a nice room. He doesn't see the bars. The grief after loss that I knew. This is different. This is being alive while someone else gently, politely packs away your life. Let me tell you about the theft. It wasn't the auction of my furniture. It wasn't leaving my home of 55 years. It was the first night here when a girl young enough to be my granddaughter called me Artie and told me it was time for my bath. I was a husband for 50 years. I was a father. I taught 2 generations about their own history. And in that moment, I became a body, a task on a list. My marriage, my entire life, reduced to a chart at the foot of a bed. This is about aging alone, even when you're surrounded by people. It's about the moment you realize you are no longer the author of your own day. You are a paragraph in someone else's care plan. They took my keys, my car, my rose garden. Fine. But they also took my right to be sad for no reason. My right to sit in silence. My right to choose a risk, like walking to the mailbox without an escort. They trade your dignity and call it safety. They trade your autonomy and call it comfort. Stay with me. I'm going to tell you exactly where it all went wrong and what they really take from you in a place like this. It's not what you think. Morning in the house, I made my tea. The pot was warm in my hands. I set it on the little tray, just so. The newspaper was folded next to it. A single beam of sun came through the window and lit up Eleanor's portrait on the mantel. I could almost hear her humming from the kitchen. That was my world, a quiet world, built day by day for 55 years. Then the doorbell rang. It was time for the doctor. David had insisted. You see, I'd had a fall. It was my own fault. I wanted the pruning shears from the high shelf in the garage. I remember the air was crisp. I remember the step stool wobbling. My ankle turned in a way it shouldn't. There was a crack. I lay on the cold concrete, not feeling much pain, just a strange sort of distance. I stared at a single red rose growing through the fence. It looked so free. Then the sirens came, and the world went red and blue. After that, everything moved fast, but I moved slow. The hospital room was full of voices. David was on a screen, his face worried. The doctor talked. A nice woman with a clipboard talked. They said words like rehabilitation and support and safety. I tried to say something about my house, about my roses. My voice sounded small. It didn't matter. They brought papers. They put a pen in my hand. My fingers felt thick and cold. David's voice came through the phone. It's just for a little while, Dad. Just sign. So I did. They didn't take me home. They took me to a temporary room. David came to do the downsizing. That's what they call it. I stood in my living room. It was empty. A man I didn't know carried out Eleanor's writing desk. the one she used every morning. I could still see the faint circle where her perfume bottle sat. He carried it out like it was any old table. The silence after he left was so heavy, it pushed down on my chest. My phone rang. It was David. "It's just stuff, Dad," he said. His voice was too cheerful. "You'll be more comfortable." I hung up. I looked at my suitcase. One bag for my whole life. The car ride to the Cedars was a blur. Then we were there. A big beige building. It smelled like bleach and overcooked peas. My room was nice. A bed, a chair, a window. Then a young woman bounced in. She had bright scrubs with flowers on them. "Hello, Artie," she said. "I'm Chloe. I'll get your bath ready." I flinched. No one has called me Artie since I was a boy. My name is Arthur. It felt like she'd taken something from my pocket. That first night I didn't sleep. I lay in that strange bed, stiff as a board. I listened to someone crying down the hall. I heard the squeak of shoes. I knew then I had been delivered. I was here. The next morning they taped the schedule to my door. My whole day was on a laminated sheet. Breakfast at 7:15, pills at 7:30, activity at 10. It was all there. I was shepherded to the dining room. The food was soft and all the same color. I sat where they pointed. I thought of a rainy afternoon with Eleanor. We were reading. She wanted soup for lunch. I wanted a sandwich. We bickered about it for 20 minutes. We were so serious about it. It was our choice to make. Now, lunch was meatloaf at 5:30. No discussion. They put me in a chair in the common room next to a woman with beautiful hands. She had long, thin fingers. They trembled a little. She saw me looking. "I played piano," she whispered. Her name was Margaret. She kept smiling at the aides walking by, but her eyes were sharp. She leaned closer. "They call it continence care, Arthur," she whispered. "They come in, cheerful as anything, and they take care of it. They take your dignity and call it safety." We sat there, two old people whispering. It was the only part of the day that wasn't on the schedule. Then David visited. He looked around at the clean floors. He saw the sunshine. He saw people playing bingo. "This looks nice, Dad," he said. "They have so many activities." I looked at his face. He needed this to be okay. He needed to believe he'd done the right thing. The bars of this place were invisible to him. They were made of his own love. So I did what I had to do. I patted his hand. I made my voice soft. "It's fine, son," I said. "Don't you worry." I felt hollow saying it. I was helping him steal the last bit of the truth from himself. After he left, I was so tired. I just stared at that schedule on my door. All those little boxes of time. None of them were mine. I stared at that schedule for a long time. And you know what? I got angry. It was a quiet anger, deep down. It was about the meatloaf. It was about being called Artie. It was about Margaret's trembling hands. The next morning at breakfast, something happened. It wasn't planned. My hand just moved. I knocked over my little cup of orange juice. It went right across the table and hit that laminated schedule on my door. It dripped down all sticky, blurring the words. The aide, a nice young man, came over. "Oh, "Oh, Mr. Finch, let's get that cleaned up," he said. He wiped the door, but he didn't put up a new schedule, not right away. So that day when it was time for current events group, I didn't go. I just sat in my chair by the window. I looked at the wall. I didn't think of anything special. I just sat. For a whole hour, nobody told me what to do. It was mine. That hour felt more real than all the other hours put together. It was the best hour I'd had in months. The next day there was a new schedule taped up, but it didn't matter. I'd had my victory. That's when I really started to see the place. It's not a bad place. The people are nice, but it's a machine. Its job is to stop me from falling, from getting sick, from causing trouble. My comfort, that's just how they keep the machine running smooth. I'm not Arthur here. I'm room 12B. I'm a list of needs: bathing, eating, toileting. The crime isn't that they're mean. It's that they're so gentle about turning me into a thing. I saw Margaret being wheeled down the hall for a bath. She caught my eye. She didn't whisper. She just gave a tiny shake of her head. I knew what she meant. It makes you think. I spent my whole life being careful. I didn't take risks. I avoided ladders. I looked both ways twice. I did everything right to be safe. And for what? To end up in the safest place in the world, where the biggest danger is that you'll forget who you are. I wish I'd eaten the questionable fish. I wish I'd climbed that tree. I didn't know the final price of safety was all your choices. David visited again last week. He brought my grandson. The boy looked around, nervous. David talked about the garden patio. "It's so secure, Dad," he said. I just nodded. I patted his hand again. "It's fine," I said. But inside I was screaming. The love in his eyes was the lock on the door, and I was the one handing him the key every time. That's the worst theft. You do it to yourself, for them. That's the worst theft. You do it to yourself, for them. I sat in my chair after they left, and I broke. I just cried. Not loud, just this hot, quiet leaking from my eyes. I was wrong about everything. I thought I was being strong for David. I thought I was making it easier. But I was just helping him bury me alive in this nice, clean room. The full cost hit me then. It wasn't the house. It wasn't the desk. It was the right to be sad on my own terms. To miss Eleanor without someone patting my shoulder and suggesting a puzzle. I lost the right to my own bad mood. You have to be pleasant here. You have to be grateful. A bad day is a behavioral issue. A private thought is a withdrawal. I lost the life that still felt like mine. I remembered a specific morning with Eleanor. It was years ago. We were in the kitchen. She was mad at me for forgetting to get the paper. "Arthur Finch," she said, hands on her hips. "You are the most forgetful man alive." I snapped back. "Well, you're the most nagging woman alive." We glared. Then she laughed. I laughed. We made coffee. We had a real fight, and we had the making up. That was ours. That was life. Here they smooth everything out until there's no texture left. No arguments. No making up. Just calm. That's when I accepted the first hard truth. This isn't temporary. David isn't coming to take me home. The papers I signed didn't say for a little while. They said forever. I live here. I will die here. This room, this schedule, This is the rest of my life. The understanding was like a cold stone in my chest. I looked at my hands on the chair arms. These old hands. They don't belong to me anymore. They belong to the aides who washed them, to the nurses who checked their pulse. I am a unit to be managed. The fight went out of me. I just felt tired. That's the worst theft. You do it to yourself, for them. I sat in my chair after they left, and I broke. I just cried. Not loud, just this hot, quiet leaking from my eyes. I was wrong about everything. I thought I was being strong for David. I thought I was making it easier. But I was just helping him bury me alive in this nice, clean room. The full cost hit me then. It wasn't the house. It wasn't the desk. It was the right to be sad on my own terms. To miss Eleanor without someone patting my shoulder and suggesting a puzzle. I lost the right to my own bad mood. You have to be pleasant here. You have to be grateful. A bad day is a behavioral issue. A private thought is a withdrawal. I lost a life that still felt like mine. I remembered a specific morning with Eleanor. It was years ago. We were in the kitchen. She was mad at me for forgetting to get the paper. Arthur Finch, she said, hands on her hips. You are the most forgetful man alive. I snapped back. Well, you're the most nagging woman alive. We glared. Then she laughed. I laughed. We made coffee. We had a real fight, and we had the making up. That was ours. That was life. Here, they smooth everything out until there's no texture left. No arguments, no making up, just calm. That's when I accepted the first hard truth. This isn't temporary. David isn't coming to take me home. The papers I signed didn't say, for a little while. They said forever. I live here. I will die here. This room, this schedule, this is the rest of my life. The understanding was like a cold stone in my chest. I looked at my hands on the chair arms. These old hands. They don't belong to me anymore. They belong to the aides who wash them, to the nurses who check their pulse. I am a unit to be managed. The fight went out of me. I just felt tired. But here's what I learned, lying there in that tiredness. The fight isn't about escaping. It's about insisting. It's about saying, my name is Arthur, every single time. It's about spilling the orange juice. It's about whispering with Margaret. Those aren't small things. They are the last flags planted on the tiny piece of land that is still you. I was wrong to think surrender was kindness. Real kindness to David and to myself would have been honesty. It would have been saying, this is a prison to me, son, even if you built it with love. It would have been letting him carry the weight of that truth, instead of me carrying the lie that it was fine. Love doesn't require a performance. It requires presence, even when the presence is painful. So if you're listening to this, and you're my age or getting there, here is my direct advice. Don't be polite about your personhood. Fight for the clutter, the odd habit, the stubborn preference, the chair that faces the wrong way because you like it that way. These are not inconveniences. They are the bulwarks. When they talk about safety, ask, safety from what? From living Have the hard, ugly, terrifying talk with your children now, before the fall. Tell them what you fear more than death. For me, it was this gentle erasure. Write it down, make them promise, and for God's sake, read every line of every paper. If your hand is too tired to hold the pen, that's the sign you shouldn't be signing. And if you're the child, listening, see beyond the clean floor. Look for the schedule on the door. That's the real blueprint. Don't ask if we're comfortable. Ask if we're still ourselves. Visit at an unscheduled time. Bring a real pickle, something with a bite, something that breaks the rules of the pureed diet. Argue with us about politics. Let us have a bad day. Protect our risks, not just our bones. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to help us be a little bit unsafe, to let us be the authors of our own bad decisions for as long as we possibly can. There is hope, but it's not the hope of going back. It's the hope of a moment entirely your own. It's the sun on your face in a chair you moved yourself. It's a secret kept just for you. It's a look you share with a fellow prisoner that says, I see you. That's enough. That has to be enough. You still have time. Maybe not years, but now is enough. A single unproductive hour staring at a wall can be a lifetime if it's truly yours. If this story has found you, if it echoes in that quiet place where your own fears live, then do something with it. Don't let it just be another sad story you heard. Subscribe to this channel. Turn on the notifications, because there are more voices like mine that need to be heard. More truths that get polished into comfortable lies. Give this video a like. It's a small thing, but it says, I heard him. More importantly, leave a comment down below. Tell me, what's one thing, one small, seemingly silly daily ritual that you would fight to keep? The specific teacup, the morning crossword and pen. Sharing that makes it real. It names the thing worth protecting. Then share this, not just widely, but specifically. Send it to the person who needs to have this conversation with you. Say, this made me think of us. Can we talk?